we want to definitely get your thoughts on the undrafted class because that's something we haven't really touched on a ton. But you did a ton of great scout work and film study, and we miss, getting to weekly. We were spoiled here with you working with the morning news, and, now you're off with PFF. But overall, your evaluation of what the Cowboys came away with their draft class.
I thought it was a little bit worrisome the first day. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Tyler Smith pick, and if we want to get into that more, we can. Day two, I thought they did a much better job grabbing Sam Williams and Jalen Tolbert. Thought it was a little early on. I thought ideally you could have switched them, Jalen Tolbert in the second and Sam Williams in the third, and it would have been perfect. But coming away with those two on day two, if you would have told me that's what would have happened before the draft, I would have been perfectly fine with it. So I was happy with that. And then day three, I really think they did a good job looking for upside, attacking, players that have favorable traits that are worth developing. Now, the key is just, can they develop these players that have such high upside?
Is Tyler Smith somebody, John, that you feel like can step in and be a solid, above average left guard in year one?
You know what? No, I'm a little bit worried because the issues that he shows, at least to me, that he showed on film, his hand usage, the way his hands land really wide and he carries them really low in pass protection, and his inefficient footwork, how he understeps under himself, he false steps, he doesn't really gain enough ground in his pass set. All of those type of issues are stuff that'll be exacerbated inside because of how quickly everything hits. He doesn't have the time and the space that if he takes a false step, his natural athleticism could kind of recover him when he was at offensive tackle. But at guard, if you take a false step, everything hits so quickly that he's not going to have the time to recover, and it's going to make him look really bad. So if he can make substantial technical improvements, I think so, because he has such a strong foundational of if you wanted to start with a ball of clay, he's what you have with his aggressiveness, his inherent power, his athleticism, but he's just lacking in the nuanced technical traits that would allow him to thrive initially in the NFL. I think he needs some seasoning. In the perfect world, he could start, but, I'm really dubious on that point as of now.
So a lot of people, it seems like Jalen Tolbert, including Eric and I think that he's the guy that we expect to get the most immediate production from. Would you agree with that? And who was your favorite pick in the Cowboys class?
Oh, yeah, definitely the Jalen Tolbert pick. I think he's someone whose skill set really translates really well initially to the NFL, especially in the Cowboys offense, where he's not going to be expected to, be a number one or number two guy right away. As a number three guy who can run the vertical route tree, I think he is fantastic, and he's going to really help stretch the field and open up, the short to intermediate stuff for CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz and those type of guys. So, just his ability to run routes with pacing, his ability to set up corners with his footwork, his ability to get in and out of breaks, especially on the vertical route tree, like I was saying, on post and corners, he does that really well. He can go up and high point the ball. He can win contested catches. He can win above the rim. I just think that overall skill set is something that translates extremely well to what the Cowboys want in their number three wide receiver.
It's John Owning, Pro Football Focus, with us here in the Nosebleed Seats via the Diamond Factory fan hotline. Now, do you anticipate, other than Tolbert, how many of these guys do you think can really have a year one impact?
I think Sam Williams will have a year one impact in the sense that they're going to give him a lot of time. They're going to give him those 10 to 15 to 20 snaps a game as a pass rush guy and really turn him loose off the edge. And I think he can have an impact there just with his hustle and his pure speed, because when he's in the game, he's not going to be the focal point of opposing blocking protections. And in reality, that's going to be the DeMarcus Lawrence's, the Neville Gallimores and such when they're going. So it's going to be interesting. But, the day three guys, I don't really see have a ton of impact outside of special teams. So I would say, I don't think this, which is weird for a coaching staff that you think is kind of on the hot seat, that the draft is kind of really filled with guys who you expect to have more of an impact years 2, 3, 4, and beyond, and not really initially. So, yeah, I would say I don't really expect a ton of year one production out of this rookie class.
Who stands out to you from the undrafted rookie free agent haul?
Oh, baby. Well, if you're asking me who my favorite one is Mika Tafua from Utah, the edge rusher. It's Bradley and I all over again. He's a guy who's, a really bad athlete. He lacks length, but man, is he fun to watch. He really has the technical side of pass rushing down. He understands how to use his footwork to set up guys. He can turn a corner really tight with efficient footwork. He has a variety of hand techniques that he uses. He can parry strike. He can initiate contact. He can win with spins. He's just a really fun rusher that I think is someone whose upside is really like a practice squad guy this year, especially with the amount of personnel the Cowboys have at defensive end and outside linebacker right now. But he's somebody maybe year 2, year 3, if he continues to develop, maybe somebody who could stick at the end of the roster, be kind of your hustle guy that makes kind of the glue that connects the pass rush rotations together. And then another guys I like Aaron Hansford, the Texas A&M linebacker. I actually think he's better than Devin Harper, the 6th-round pick. I think he has a much better understanding of reading and diagnosing from inside the box. I think he does a better job of taking on blocks and slithering around blocks and making tackles. He's really interesting. And then another guy I like is the BYU center, James Empey. I actually think he's better than Alec Lindstrom, the UDFA center from Boston College that everybody's talking about. Because Empey, he's a little bit bigger. He still has really short T-Rex arms. I'm guessing he didn't give enough hugs when he was little to stretch those babies out. But he's an effective run blocker. He has good athleticism and everything. He has to work out some things in pass protection. His anchor is not really that great. His initial hand fit can use some fixing, as you would expect from a UDFA. But I could see him as someone who sticks around the practice squad or even potentially sneaks on as the one of the last members of the 53, like Brandon Knight did.
John, do you feel like there's any part of this roster that is better today than it was on that final Sunday versus San Francisco?
I would say tight end's better because I really like Jake Ferguson, and I think what you were getting out of Blake Jarwin last year were working, partially hampered by that hip injury. I think the tight end position could potentially be a little bit better, but we're really grasping for straws. Maybe linebacker. The only way you can project any position to be better is if you're just projecting players to develop, and that is a dangerous game in the NFL, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Do the Cowboys have the best roster in the NFC East?
I don't think they have the best roster. I would say, as much as it pains me to say, I'd say the Eagles have the better roster, but the Cowboys are better in the most important position, and that's really what really matters. And I just think Dak Prescott is such a better player than Jalen Hurts, my bad, that I think that the Cowboys are going to end up with a better record and, still get the better of the Eagles. That's just how important that quarterback position is in the NFL. And though I love Jalen Hurts, the person, I just don't think he has a skill set to get the most out of the rest of the talent that he has on that team.
John Owning with us here on 105.3 The Fan. What other teams do you think really did an excellent job over the course of the draft?
There's a lot of, the Ravens, like always, they take like so many of the good players. It's just so frustrating how it seems like every single year the good players just seem to drop to them. I do agree with the criticism about the Jets taking a running back in the second round when, they have so many holes and their running back, production last year was actually pretty good. So that's a team that I'm a little bit more down on than the other ones. And then, I love what the Eagles did on day one, but the rest of the days weren't that great. So I would definitely just say that probably for me, just based on the things that I value, definitely the Ravens, I think, have the best draft.
Is there where on this Cowboys roster would you like to see maybe a cheap veteran get added? Is it one of these wide receivers? Do you need another veteran O-lineman? What would you like to see? And maybe is there a player or two that stick out to you that say, let's go get this guy?
I mean, I don't think that the Cowboys would do this, but I would definitely consider bringing in a veteran guard because I don't think that Tyler Smith will be ready to start right away like we were talking before. So I would be really interested in bringing in a veteran guard. I know people have talked about Eric Flowers, which isn't the best name, but honestly, I say that, but when I look at the names of free agent guards that are available, I don't like any of them better than Eric Flowers. So maybe a name like his is someone who could be brought in, but I really think the Cowboys really pigeonholed themselves by not attacking this earlier with some of the veteran names that were available to start free agency.